Let's talk about the extradition process and the charge Julian Assange is facing. I'm joined by Scott Horton, live from New York. He's an adjunct professor of law at Colombia University. Professor, how bitter and lengthy do you think this fight over Julian Assange's extradition to the United States is going to be?
Well, my quick guess would be that the process is going to last a year or longer. And it falls into a category. In fact, there have been a number of extradition battles brought by the United States seeking to extradite hackers from the United Kingdom. These efforts have been generally very controversial. They've been political, too. They've invited opposition from prominent political speakers, and indeed even the Home Office has expressed some reservation. And these reservations go to the harshness of U.S. law dealing with hackers, the fact that many of the hackers, in fact, are juveniles, the harshness of sentences and prison conditions as well. And I think the Assange case is going to raise a number of difficult questions. So while I think it's likely that the outcome in the end will be an extradition order, I think that's far from certain. And it's also quite possible we're going to see an attempt to appeal the decision to the European Court of Human Rights.
And when and if he's in fact extradited to the United States, is Assange likely to face more charges?
Well, the quick answer to that is not likely. In fact, there's a rule of international law attached to extraditions that says that the party seeking the extradition has to present all the charges it's going to bring. So that means effectively there's a little bit of room now for the American Department of Justice to expand its charge sheet and bring charges, but it's got to do that very quickly, because once the extradition review process in earnest begins, there's going to be a foreclosure. There'll be no possibility of additional charges brought.
Prosecutors in Sweden are considering opening an investigation into the sexual rape assault case against Assange. How much of a problem is that going to be for him if they do that, and what are the implications?
Well, that's what launched this entire process, of course. He was held on bond. He violated the bond terms. That's resulting in him potentially facing jail time in the UK already. Those charges can be reinstated potentially, and that would complicate the situation further. So it's not unheard of for two sovereigns to be seeking extradition of an individual at the same time. It does happen from time to time, and that would make this process much more complicated.
Professor, do you believe this is a battle over freedom of speech, or crossing the line into committing a crime, as prosecutors say Assange did?
Well, it's interesting. That's a very important question in the background here. And I think by way of context, we now know, I think from just the last few days, we know that the Obama administration considered bringing charges and reached a conclusion not to do so. And it decided not to do so because it thought there was simply no way to avoid First Amendment freedom of press questions. But these charges are not directly related to anything that Julian Assange has published, not directly. So the charge is a hacking charge. And it looks like the American prosecutors have tried to tie this back to Julian Assange's prior criminal record. 1996, he was convicted in Australia on 26 counts of hacking.
But hacking is still breaking the law.
Absolutely, it's breaking the law, and so they're basically trying to establish the same sort of offense here and say that Julian Assange is a recidivist. He's done the same thing before. But if you look deep into the charge sheet here, they're also saying he was involved in a conspiracy to publish, and that raises then the freedom of information issues.
All right, we'll leave it there. Professor Scott Horton, thank you.